It's 11. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's 11:31 on November 20th. First item of business is everyone for attending. We're holding this meeting in a hybrid format, so you're welcome to attend in person or virtually. The guidelines we want to use are, because the meeting is being recorded, we would like one person to speak at a time. If you're appearing virtually, if you could mute yourself when you're not talking, and if you're appearing, you can state your name before you start speaking. Our agenda is on our website. We're going to proceed through that. First thing, we're going to have a brief land acknowledgement. The City of Seattle Public Safety Civil Service Commission acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish. We honor with gratitude the land and the Duwamish people past and present. Commissioner introductions. My name is Richard Green. Tom Baptiste.
Quinaya Mays.
Great, thank you. We have a quorum. Do we have any public comment? We got written public comment, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Approval of minutes. I've taken a look at the minutes of the October 9th meeting. They look accurate to me, so I would move that we adopt the minutes of the October meeting as distributed. Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Is there a plan to read public comment?
I think the plan was that we need to sort of take that with advisement.
Okay.
I think
The usual practice is not to read it. If you should, but if you did, that's when do you read, when do you not read, and the comments from other people, would you read those too, or okay? So the general practice is that it comes in, it's read it yourself, and if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. Right. But it's not something you read. Okay.
all right.
Sounds like just brief, just like a broad statement that comments under advisement, and that there are some steps being taken to look into the matter.
Yes.
There's work being done there, that some more information on it later.
Right. I don't think we need an executive session this meeting. I don't think there are any action items that we need to address. So move on to updates and discussion. Police and fire exam unit updates. Shadi is not here.
Hi there, this is Adelaide Alders. I'm happy to give the police exams update.
Sure.
Yeah, all right. Good morning, everyone. So I guess I'll go ahead and start with entry-level police officer. That exam process has been going pretty well. I have some encouraging data to share with you all. So we have already passed our 2024 metrics for both application numbers and candidates on the register. So we've got just under 4,000 applicants as of this morning. And then also so far we've put 1,259 candidates on the register and sent them over to SPD for pre-employment screening. So we're super happy about that. That's been the highest number of folks we put on the register for entry level since we started tracking this data back in 2012. All good stuff. And, we look forward to, keep continuing to share updates in December as well and at year end. For lateral police officer, we've had about 85 qualified applicants, and 33 of them have completed and passed the civil service exam and been sent over on a register to SPD. Both of those metrics are also on track to surpass the last year's figures as well. So I'm happy about that. And I can sort of briefly talk about promotional exams. I'm a little bit less involved in that. So Emily, if I miss anything, feel free to chime in. But for the sergeant promotional exam, it seems that they are in the development phase and making some pretty good progress with the exam development committee. The application window for that exam opens on December 9th and closes on December 23rd. And the written exam is scheduled to take place on February 21st, followed by an oral board in late March. I think that is all I have on that exam.
Great. Any questions? All right, thank you. Fire things, Ms. Grace Matsui, do you have anything to tell us? Oh, thank you. Here,
Yeah,
take the good
no,
one.
no, no, no.
You got
I'm already seated.
All right. Good morning. I'm Yoshiko Grace Matsui,
I'm Vivian Logan.
and we're here with a bit of a fire exams update. One, I want to comment that this is the first time in quite a while since 2019 that we have gone to do back-to-back entry-level firefighter exams. And so it's been about 6 years since we've done that. And what makes that a bit unusual, and I'm very thankful for all the resources that we have to moving to an annual schedule, is that some form of almost every single promotional rank in fire is being worked on right now, and which has always been one of the struggles and drawbacks of moving to an annual cycle, was the fact that we just have a lot of things in the air, many parts. So I'll run through all the things that we are completing and then starting. And do you want to start with entry level?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So I can start with entry level. Applications have been open. They're about to close on the 25th. And as of right now, we have 3,892 applications right before this meeting. And out of those, it doesn't mean that everyone's tested. So we still have to see like who all has submitted their test scores and all of that. But that's the number of applications. And then for oral boards, which will be held in January and February, we've been recruiting assessors, both civilian and from SFD. And our goal for SFD was 100, and we're at 101 right now. There might be duplicates, but we're very close to our goal. And then for civilian assessors, our goal was 60, but then we decided we might want to get more just to, in case, staffing issues, people getting sick. So we're now at 86. And our goal was 60. So exceeded. Good job.
So while that is happening right now, you heard we're just about to end the application phase, and the people have to complete all of the testing before December 10th. And then next step will be all the grading and letting people know if they've made it into the top 1,500 folks to carry forward into oral boards. We have capped for last year, the number of people we could offer a spot in the oral boards, because we don't have the capacity to provide oral boards for 2,000 or 2,500 people. So that is the number that we arrived at as actual. So next up will also be some training for all those great assessors that Divya talked about us recruiting, and then of course the commencement of the oral boards. And also the committee is meeting as well. So the committee for entry level oral board development is almost done. Very excited about that. I think we have 2 meetings on the books. We might only need 1, and then their development process will be over. So that's one committee that's in process right now. We are wrapping up the fireboat engineer exam. So you might recall we did practicals back in September of this year. We went through, there were no protests about the practicals. Right now they're looking at a worksheet of their service credit that will be added to their scores, and the publication of the register happens December 15th. So that's test number 2 that's in process. Then we kicked off the rest of the season of development committee activity with the Captain BCs. So they have done a couple of meetings each, 3 meetings each, I think. And the first order of business is always working on the proposed bibliography. So that went out to review for both captains and battalion chiefs. And the final bibliography will be posted this Friday. After that, they'll launch into review of questions. So the committee split and work independently to develop the questions that they're going to, not develop them, but review the questions that are coming in. And then also to start working on tactical exercises, other components, whatever else is going to be in those promotional exams. So that's the third one. And just this morning, we had some folks drop in and work on some files for Fireboat Pilot. Fireboat Pilot is the fireboat exam that we're having in 2026. And so the committee hasn't formally kicked off yet, but we did sort of a survey of all of the resources that we have in our archives that haven't been scanned in and digitized yet, so that we can have some historical records of what the practical exam has been like in the past for both engineer and pilot. I think that's forward. Four committees all working at this. And I think that's it. I've run out of things to say. It's a lot right now. It's a big year to see how that goes. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And we have let go of lieutenants. Thank you. I appreciate that, because this week is the oral board review period. So we advertised and reached out to folks who were candidates for and came in and conducted an oral board for lieutenant, regardless of whether they passed or not, so that they could come in as a courtesy and review their performance that was video recorded. And we do that as a way to make sure that folks have the opportunity to learn from how the grading sheets work, how the scoring criteria works, and also how they did, because there's pretty much, it's hard to argue with the tape when you have a recorded interview. And so we had about 10 to 11 people who might be coming in to do that this week as well. So thanks to all the staff who are coming in all 5 days this week so that we can meet with candidates and view their tapes with them.
Thank you for making that review happen. One question I have, you mentioned it as a courtesy that you were offering that. Is my understanding in the rules, it says that candidates can review their scores, review things, or is that not part of the?
They don't review their scores. They review blank criteria. They have a score sheet from when the register came out back in August. So they have what they were given that was reported as their score, but they don't actually get to look at their own scoring materials, let's say, the raw scores. And it is offered as a courtesy. It's a procedure that we've developed over years and years. So it's not in the rules because it's a procedure.
Okay.
And a practice.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. So the next item is fire and police staffing. We have Mr. McKenzie here. Yes.
Hello. So my numbers, as of last week, we hit 150 hired for the year, big milestone. Separated as of the end of October, my number's 65. Current staffing, 1,064, but our authorized funded is only 1,041. I have to give a little bit of a caveat. We just had a team member in HR retire with whom I a lot of time check these numbers. And so I hope you'll forgive me if they're not perfectly accurate, but they're the best I can give you for today.
Great, thank you. And any questions from Mr. Right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Fire step. Who gets the fire step?
What does this mean? It's okay. Unless you want to do iRadio? You want to take this one? No. Dory Tower here. We have 1,112 budgeted pockets. Currently, we're sitting at 1,003. We had a rehire just yesterday. So that was fun for us. We do that very often. So that is a plus of 21 for the year, 86 separations, 100 and insurance. So 107 appointments. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
And I'll just point out, we do have SFD's new interim HR director, Aurelio, on the call. So welcome, Aurelio.
Thank you.
All right, so the next thing item we have is staffing update from the department. Do you have any?
This may be, we actually don't have a staffing update. That's left over from what's on the agenda, but we do have all of our many staff here and they're all welcome and I'm happy to see them today.
Great. All right, next item is Executive Director Budget and Departmental Updates.
All right. Well, you've heard a lot about the work of our department today from our staff, so I'll keep it pretty short and sweet. The budget update is in your materials. Okay, page 6, thank you. Right, so this actually reflects, I think this number of what is remaining available in our budget might actually be the same or higher than it was in our last meeting. Because we got a bunch of reimbursements from SFD and SPD for work that we have done for that department and had agreements about. So we are well within our budget for this year. We definitely will have underspend for 2025. And, you know, this is our first year with this larger budget. And so I've been working with the city budget office to talk about what's coming and, you know, what has been spent and utilized in 2025. And we've agreed to, you know, continue looking at it, as you always do with your budget analyst when you're a department, to see, you know, where things are landing, where we're at, because, you know, we have a little bit of underspend here, but I think it will all be, I think we will not. You heard about the greater number of fire exams. I will tell you one thing about our budget, it's a little bit of a guessing game. Unlike some departments that can, you know, more reliably predict what they're going to spend, because part of our expenses are rentals, facility rentals for exams. So when we have a lower number of applicants for promotional ranks, because, you know, it's a good one, fire captain or something like that. If there are fewer applicants, we can accommodate that exam happening in city spaces, for instance, this building or another city space. But if we have a high number of applicants, we do need to use conference facilities in a hotel typically. So that there's some fluctuation there. Our budget relative to, you know, larger departments it's very small compared to other departments, but we're paying attention and trying to be the best stewards of public funds that we can. So that's just a little bit of context there. But we're doing very well.
Great. So on case status updates.
Right. Case status updates are behind that budget report. Start on page 7. We have 3 matters on this report. Ragone, I may be saying that name wrong, filed an appeal. This is a former police officer, was separated, and is he still at the last time you updated this, he was waiting to hear from his union. Has he heard from his union?
He heard from the union, and he is not going to pursue his appeal with the union with public safety. So we'll take next steps.
Right, so we'll be scheduling a pre-hearing conference with the parties in that case. You know already about the Hill hearing, which is scheduled for to begin the hearing on February 9th. And we are engaging, it'll really pick up in the middle of December, early January, with them doing pre-hearing filings, evidence, perhaps motions. But I do think it's going to go this time. They already seem very like they will be very prepared. And we had a appeal complaint filed by Captain Johnson in Seattle Fire Department recently, and I did dismiss that appeal for lack of timeliness. It's reflected on the case status report and in your material.
Any questions about that? All right, great. So the next item on the agenda is the PSCSE 2025 look back.
Thank you, Chair Green. Give me one moment to get this up on the screen. All right. Looks like we can see it. All right. Well, Sarah Butler and I are going to kind of trade-off on this presentation, but every year at the end of the year, we like to share with commissioners kind of a lot of the work that we've done this year, some things we're looking forward to next year. Just for your information and for the public, we did this same presentation for the Civil Service Commission about 2 weeks ago. Feel free to jump in with questions if you have any. All right, so you've seen this is a little bit updated, but you've seen this scene before. You know, we'll start out at the big part of the funnel and kind of move down, but the functions of the Civil Service Commission and Public Safety Civil Service Commission and where they overlap. It's kind of nice to set the table in talking about that. But the differences from the last time commissioners saw this presentation is that the Public Safety Exams Unit is no longer in the Seattle Department of Human Resources. They are in the Civ Department, which I think is a benefit. Again, sort of setting the table is this is what our organization looks like now. We've grown a lot in the past year, and as we've talked about, we've added Emily Winslow, and Thebia Mogan's been promoted. Slide. All right, some of our highlights from 2025. We already talked about the reorganization. We have had Mike Nelson just hit his 1 year with the city of Seattle. Welcome to the civil service. You're a civil service employee now, Mike. But we're really glad that Mike has joined us. He brings a whole new set of experience and lenses. And I think you're really hitting your stride here, Mike. A lot of these things are iterative, but we've refined roles, clarifying responsibilities. We added a new position in 2025. We added a senior exams analyst position. And we've just basically been kind of settling in to what this department is now. Our end products have not changed. We still produce registers, certifications, still hear appeals the commissions do. But it's just sort of a recalibration of how we get that work done. Big year and big accomplishments on the fire department side. I think that it is incredible that we're doing the firefighter exam annually. I know that you were a big proponent of that, Commissioner Applegate, and I think part of the reason that is now getting done. Thebia and Yoshiko were describing training assessors. We utilize many, and I have to thank all of our city departments for volunteering to let their employees come work at our firefighter assessments. These folks we really draw from change teams around the city. It is important to our department and to the Seattle Fire Department that folks trained in working with an equity lens and interviewing with an racial equity lens participate in this process. And I think it's really important, something that City of Seattle can really be proud of. We produced a register in early 2025 that the fire department has been using. And it seemed like a Herculean effort, and shout out to Yoshiko, to Dory, to Hannah, to many other people for making lateral firefighter paramedic happen. It happened in a flash, it seems, but I know that a tremendous amount of work went into it on both the fire department and on our side of the exams. And that register was delivered in February with 26 eligible candidates. Dory, do you know how many people ended up getting appointed from that register? 7 people. Do we still employ all 7 of those people? That's fantastic. 7, yes. Some of the work that you commissioners did is that you changed the public safety civil service rules last year. Maybe it was early this year. Actually, it looks like it was early this year to do away with no minimum score for awards in promotional fire exams. And I think that was really important work. Also desired by the Seattle Fire Department. So that was another point of great collaboration with the fire department towards the city's goals. produced a fire lieutenant register in August, took the exam before producing that register, and fireboat engineer will be published, in December. Adelaide humbly mentioned some of the incredible outcomes on the Seattle Police side. We're really not just starting, we have been for some time seeing the fruit of certainly not just our efforts, but I would say interdepartmental, maybe broader efforts to help boost hiring in the Seattle Police Department. But big stuff happened this year that was in the works last year. Open continuous testing for Seattle police officer. Shout out to Rachel, Adelaide, and Emily. And Thebia was working on this work for a good portion of 2025 as well. Just incredible outcomes. So publishing registers to Seattle Police Department every 2 weeks. That is up from 3 years ago, it was 4 times a year. Maybe 5 years ago, it was 3 times a year. Then it was 7 times a year, and now it is 26 times a year. So they're basically getting candidates in almost real time as they pass the exam. Adelaide is the person who is administering quarterly candidate outreach and feedback surveys, which are helpful to both us and the Seattle Police Department to find out how we can improve our processes, why people apply but may not test or proceed on to the other phases. It gives feedback on recruiting efforts, etc. for the Seattle Police Department. Adelaide mentioned that we've passed 2024's record applicant numbers. That's both for candidates passing the test, but for applicants, we actually strangely passed that record before we passed applicant numbers for Seattle Police Department. We had not really high pass rate, but slightly higher pass rate in 2025, which is interesting because the consultant we work with tells us that pass rates are lower nationally than they were the year before. So Seattle candidates are just much better at taking the test. I don't know. They're smarter. They're more handsome. They're more handsome. They're just better overall. That's not from Adelaide or from Edmonton. That's my. And we did this presentation 2 weeks ago, and by then, at that time, 147 officers have been hired. And now Alan tells us it is 150, which is a huge accomplishment, and congratulations to the Seattle Police. Here we're showing you this visually. Hiring is rocketing off the charts. We published a police lieutenant in 2025, as well as a police captain register in 2025 August. These numbers, I think Rachel would tell you, are a little low for the numbers of eligible candidates, and that is because the number of applicants has been low. I'll hand it over to you, Sarah.
Okay, talk a little bit about outreach that we did in 2025. And when I say outreach, the non-public safety civil service members do have less visibility than, say, the public safety. They don't take exams. It's not sort of baked into their career in the same way that it is for public safety. So a lot of the outreach was directed towards the civilian side. And for that, did some website redesigns and created a new website kind of landing page for commissions. You can see screenshots of them over there. Let's see. I did some in-person outreach to civil service employees earlier this year. This is able to impact for SDOT as well. So meet people face to face. And then our police and fire exam staff did some outreach as well. The police exam staff participated in workshops for police officer candidates.
They do that twice a month.
This was Saturdays, Zoom. And then the fire exam staff conducted employee outreach for fire and promotion candidates and appeared on the Fire Connect podcast. Twice. What does the other outreach look like for but we're,
Most of it is conducted by the fire.
Oh.
Yeah. And we're called to this.
next slide. And then we did welcome new staff this year. Anaya Mays was appointed by the mayor in this year. Vivian Logan was promoted to senior public safety exams analyst. Emily Winslow joined our team on the police side. And we had an intern over the summer on 50% from the UW Evans School of Administration. And then more on just sort of the regular commission work. We had many commission meetings this year. There were 21 open and public meetings. There were some trainings, including disciplinary appeal hearing and OPMA public records Act trainings. We had guest speakers from Office of the Employee Ombud, SDHR, Office for Civil Rights, and Seattle Police and Fire Departments. And it was a retreat in the spring. Public safety exams, I've let you read these for yourselves, but many promotional exams and talked to thousands of applicants. For appeals, the Civil Service Commission had one appeal, but also received some premature filings and folks looking at consultations on how to appeal, how to navigate the process. So we consulted with them, and then there were 9 appeals for the Public Safety Civil Service Commission throughout the year to 2025.
For civil service folks, I think public safety civil service folks, we do a lot of information, sharing of information and referral. There are so many places in the city of Seattle where conflict resolution supports. The Office of Employee Ombud, we have the Human Resources Investigations Unit, we have the Civil Service, Seattle Office for Civil Rights. I'm not thinking of any more right now, but there are more. And so we field a lot of calls. We get a lot of calls from people who just are hoping to, complain about construction on their street as well. But we get a lot of people who are having problems in their workplace and they want, they find us and they're like, can you help me? And we're like, maybe, but let me tell you about some places where you can go. So I feel like that's a lot of the work we do on behalf of the civil service folks. And we try to help those people who are trying to complain about construction on their street find the right place also.
Let's see, so other regular sort of functions of civil service were producing, how would you say,
This is
certification.
Yeah, this is sort of like the bread and butter. This team keeps Teresa and I really busy. And some of our exam staff too, producing certification, getting the request from Dory, reviewing the request, making sure the vacancies exist, a promotion has been made or going to be made, going back to the register, producing the certification, making sure it's right, signing it and delivering it to the departments. It's not the glamorous part of our work, but it is, it's a significant part of our work. And so we wanted to make sure we shared that with you. Probation extensions, I don't need to go into what those are, but these are the things we get. I mean, we do track them, but I can't tell you right now, we maybe get 100 of those a year. Requests for reinstatements, those are we really continue to get those, where I feel like we first started seeing those only a few years ago. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I only started processing those very much a few years ago. And we, for both civil service and public safety civil service, I think we are the only agency that is centrally receiving disciplinary notices. I don't think SDH receives those for other departments, except for the small departments that they advise in the patient. So we are, I hesitate to use the word repository, but we are tracking data in the city for members of the civil service and the public safety civil service. And that information will be in our annual report again next year, as this next bullet point says.
And then a little more on civil service training and outreach. We had several of our trainings at the monthly civil service meeting. We had subject matter experts come from the Office of the Employee Ombud, Office for Civil Rights, and SDHR. And these sort of, again, sort of underscored or helped provide just some education on to navigating conflict resolution options and processes around the city. And then we also talked about civil service hiring.
Yeah, you went, you've been working with HRLT and other groups to get the word out about civil service.
Yes, there's a recruiting roundtable. And then I've been doing some trainings with HR staff. Put together some employee FAQs on pre-appeal employee grievance procedure. And the need of those calls that are coming in, direct folks to the right place. And then the trade show tabling and the digital engagement website.
Just say a few words about how we center equity in our work. As I would say, equity is important. It's crucial in our work. It's not just the law that we make sure that we are not having a discriminatory impact, but it is really core to the missions of these two commissions. And without diving way into it, you all I think have a little bit more of an eye. We did a presentation this summer about equity outcomes in the entry level processes for Seattle Police and Fire. So this slide is just to touch on that, but we do try to infuse equity, racial and gender equity into all of the work that we do. Yay! Goals for 2026, reappointment, the executive director. Hopefully, when I made this, I hope that you would, and I graciously, I'm very gracious, or I'm not very gracious, but I'm very grateful that you did. We want to continue building on our successes and continue to solidify, improve on the work that we're already doing. And that's pretty much what all these other bullets are about. So I'll just so super quickly. This is feeling like a long presentation after the long joint meeting, but one thing that we are working on in 2026, and we have been working on for a number of years, is ensuring that we have accurate class specs for all of the positions, all of the ranks in the public safety civil service. It has been a challenge to get much purchase with the classification team, but we will persist because it is a need and we need to make sure it's done. But Sarah is leading that charge and that project, and we'll have more mid-year to report back to you commissioners. Overall goals, it's never going to be exactly the same, but we are working on what kinds of things we can standardize between the fire and police testing functions that will also serve the departments and meet the missions needs or goals. So that work is ongoing. There'll be commissioner elections in 2026 for the elected position. So that will be a body of work for us in the city clerk's office. So that's for civil service and public safety civil service. So Tommy, I have the opportunity to run for your position again if you like it enough.
Time flies now.
It did. That's for term in 2027. I've spoken with you about this before, but there are some revisions that I think would be appropriate for the public safety civil service rules of practice and procedure. And we've already talked about the promotional exams that are in development now. For civil service, I'll spend just a second. Rule update, sort of a rule revamp, I think, for that commission, since their rules were last done in 2014, and they'll have an election as well. Thank you for listening to that presentation. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, any questions? I would just, the only comment I would make is when I first started on this commission, we seemed to have a number of, they were exam protests. And I found those extremely puzzling because I have no idea what a fire rope captain does. I mean, it's just no
Yeah.
clue whatsoever. And this year, I don't think we have any.
Well, I think part of the reason for that is you all updated the rule.
And I think part of those, I mean, it seemed to be that the essence of a lot of those protests was that the questions were ambiguous. And yet, so I think the good work of the unit has made those questions less ambiguous, so there aren't many appeals.
Mhm.
So,
That could be part of it. And I will just say, I'll go right on to my next thing, if you don't mind, old or new business. I do think that rule, you know, we've been with that rule for a little while now, I think almost 12 months, maybe we did it in October 2024. And there are a couple of tweaks that I think would be advisable to the rule. I've mentioned this to you all before. And we are like, maybe in the next week, going to be able to share our proposed updates to that rule as well. We would like potentially to do a rulemaking. They're not big. They're actually clarifications. You know, in my opinion, you get to really decide, but in December, January.
any questions, comments? All right. Great. So the next item on the agenda is a recap of the annual Civil Service Conference. Carrie, you want to talk about that?
Sure, I attended parts of this and actually some of the colleagues really more of it. And I would be curious if the commissioners.
I think Commissioner Mace had one of the days.
So there were 2 days. The first one is, I know that it's named for public safety. And then I didn't put in funding for that. And then the second day was sort of some overarching framework about civil service and the history of it, as well as some legal techniques and bills that passed and whatnot. We had counterparts from the county exam students come over and kind of be administration. I don't know who else has something to add.
Commissioner Mace, did you have anything you wanted to add about that conference?
No, I did not. I think it was very helpful just to kind of walk through the history of everything, just to kind of see, you know, from day one where everything started, how the laws are developed, and kind of supporting the work that we do now. For me, as a new commissioner, it definitely helped kind of set the tone of how we look at the work from an outside perspective, and then supporting the work that we're doing in the future. So it was exciting.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any questions? All right, next item on the agenda is old new business. I don't think we have any that I know of. So I would move, and our next meeting is December 18th at 10 o'clock. So, all right, I would move that we adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so that we stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are at 12:14.
Thank you.
Troopers, thank you.